thrilled. So glad you're all here. Wondering what's been new with you the last few weeks? Anything, any news, anything going on? It's certainly, it's been hard, been lots of challenges. I don't know about you. I love my family. There are lots of conveniences of having more time at home, and there are also some struggles there too. And certainly we miss seeing you all. It's a big challenge, big difficulty, but it's been great over the last few weeks to connect with a lot of you by phone or email or Zoom. How many Zoom calls have we done in the last month compared to the rest of our lives? It's our new normal. It's hard to believe that it was a month ago we were running around our office together, filming a short message, including that theme that we're here for you. And it seems so cliche now. I don't know, since then I've probably gotten a million emails from every company on the face of the earth saying they're here for me, which is nice. But we are, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to host this initial Bell Achievers Community Forum. It's a chance for us to get together, to have some connection, even in this social distancing or physical distancing world, and to be reminded of some key principles for leading effectively. One of our hopes for you today is for you to leave recommitted to building yourselves. I know we're preaching to the choir, but recommitted to those fundamentals. And so how do you lead through a crisis? You do 6 things, and it's just even more important to do those 6 things because the stakes are higher today. Stakes are higher, challenges are greater, pressure can be greater, but remember, the opportunity is greater as well. If we were together, if we were all in the same room together, one, it'd be a pretty big room, but you know how we would kick off our program. If you've been to a Bell Leadership program before, and you all have, you know we love to start off with that Bell Leadership Southern Mixer, to go around, shake hands with everybody. There are always some hugs and high fives, and for all sorts of reasons, we just can't do that right now. All obvious reasons. But if you'll humor us for a minute, we're going to do a quick virtual Southern Mixer. We're going to make history and do the world's first virtual Southern Mixer. As Dr. Bell would say, and by the way, he's doing great, sends his regards, wishes he could be here with us today. But as he would say, live it up, have some fun, and here we go with our virtual Southern Mixer. All right, so we get hopefully a little taste of a Southern Mixer there. What brings us here today, right? And it feels cliche to say that it's an unprecedented time, but frankly it is, in terms of the scope and the scale and the suddenness. You know, there's hints that something was coming, but talking to most folks I've talked to in a variety of businesses say, yeah, we heard about it, but we weren't really sure if it was going to be such a big deal. You kind of weren't sure what to believe, and then all of a sudden the whole world or the whole country seems to be shutting down. And so all of us are experiencing this in different ways and in different degrees, both personally and professionally, as individuals, as businesses, educational institutions. Everything's going online, and nonprofits and businesses are shutting down. Some are actually ramping up or retooling. And but even with that, I mean, let's face it, even under the best of circumstances, leadership's daunting. People watch you like a hawk. You have a big impact on them. That impact ripples out. So you have a bad day, and a whole lot of people are going to have a bad day. Quite interesting question to think about. Do you think the family members of your coworkers, your direct reports, your peers, do you think their family members know your name? Do you think they ever hear stories about you? Good ones, maybe not so good ones sometimes, but guarantee you they do. So you have a big impact on people every day, and people count on you. And if you're not careful, that pressure can become immobilizing, can become crushing even. And by the way, everyone is constantly second guessing you as well. Well, why don't you just do this, or why don't you do that? One of Dr. Bell's great principles is that every business is simple, the less you know about it. And so we're all the victims of Monday morning quarterbacking and all that. And that's all on a good day, not in coronavirus world. And so let's look at now, and looking at right now, what are you seeing in the world? Take a moment and visualize what comes to mind when you think of an example of positive leadership, of people rising to the challenge of our current situation. You can think of them as heroic acts, whether big or small. So can you think of one that you've seen or heard about? What comes to mind? I wish we could hear all those stories and all those examples. One of the keys, I think, to surviving a situation like this, let alone achieving forward with it, is not getting caught in all the pressure and stress and potential overwhelm of leading, and it's learning to see leading as an opportunity. So an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to contribute, an opportunity to make a difference, just like all those people that you just mentioned, as they've done. So again, wish we could have heard all of your responses, but I bet if we went through and studied each of them, I bet we'd find that they'd have some things in common. And what I think is, I bet you'd find that they were full of examples of those achiever behaviors and those 6 core competencies that the best leaders tend to use to a very high degree. Now is when I would turn to my trusty handy dandy flip chart, but if you'll humor me, and Allison, you might have to rescue me here. If you'll humor me, I'm gonna try to share my own little virtual flip chart. All right, you recognize this. We gotta bring a little bit of Dr. Bell here in the room, and so you've seen this before. And now, interesting, if you think about those examples that you've just been through, you've just gone through, I'll go through these, and as I remind you of these great achiever behaviors, what I'd love for you to do is just in your mind, just check off whichever ones apply to the example that you just shared. So first, we'll look at the entrepreneur here. So entrepreneur core competency, did you or your person, did they take action, take initiative, work to start something? Did they bring positivity, energy? Did they find an opportunity in the situation? Did they not wait? They took action. And if so, those are all entrepreneur behaviors. Now, to the extent they showed boldness and courage, guts, they took efforts to do the right thing, to do something that's honorable, to treat people with respect and dignity. Those would be examples of the competitor behavior pattern. Now, next, you want to think about, to what extent did they take charge like a producer? They made a plan, their clear communication, clear direction, clear decisions. Hard to do in a time like this with so much uncertainty and variability. But producers are also very thorough, detail-oriented, meticulous. So really paying attention to all the little things and the little details. To what extent were they, did they exhibit the stabilizer behaviors of being calm, conveying that we'll get through this, it's being measured, it's being in alpha state? You may have seen the video, I think it's on our website, we also shared on LinkedIn, where Dr. Bell was suggesting some things you can do in a time of crisis. And one of the most important things is to help yourself and help your team get into that alpha state, that state of calm, relaxed, but engaged, focused state where you could be productive and creative and think clearly. And stabilizers are really good at having that calm. So they also look at the long term, they look at the big picture, they know we're going to survive and get through this, and have some humility in how they approach situations as well. To what extent did you see team builder behavior? So the caring, being loving, thoughtful, thinking about people. It's having warmth. It's in normal days and normal situations, we talk about team builders as moving toward people. Hard to do when we're social distancing or physical distancing, but team builders are still finding ways to connect with other people, to look out for other people. Lastly, 6, look at that creator core competency of being creative, being innovative, adaptable, finding new ways to operate, new ways to do things, and also trying to have some fun and humor and creativity. And you've all seen the examples of people doing their Zoom meetings or what have you, and we're dressing up this day, or had a session with a client this morning. He said his family's doing a different theme night several nights a week, and so they're just trying to make the most of having their family time together. It's creators also are willing to experiment and try new things. So these 6 core competencies, I'd be willing to wager, showed up to a high degree. And it's just a reminder of whatever the circumstances, whatever the situation, those are your go-to patterns. Those are your go-to solutions for leading more effectively. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take just a quick minute, and we'll do a quick poll. And what I'd love to do is see which of those achiever core competencies you saw in your example. So when the poll comes up, you'll be able to check all of them that apply. So did each of the 6 core competencies show up? If so, you check them all. If a couple stood out, then you can just check those. So Allison will put that on our screens here in a second. You can see highest, looks like team builder. For about 75% of the examples, team builder showed up. Stabilizer, entrepreneur, creator, over 50%. Yeah, great. And you can really see, I mean, you can imagine that with all the disruption that this is causing so many people on a personal level, a professional level as well, the real importance of practicing that team builder set of behavior patterns, of showing people that you care about them, that you're thinking about them, that you're looking out for them. So now next, for each of us, this question is, which of those 6 core competencies would you say is your strongest? So of those 6, which of those comes most naturally to you, would you say is your greatest strength? So is it that positive, optimistic, upbeat entrepreneur? Is it the more direct and honest and courageous competitor? Is it the clear and focused, get things done producer? Is it a little more calm and steady and balanced stabilizer? Is it that move toward people, build relationships, great people skills, team builder? Or is it more the open, flexible, adaptable, fun creator? So that's the first question to think about. Next question is, which of those 6 is probably your lowest? Which of the 6 would help you the most to build? We want to focus on those core competencies, right? The 6 go to tried and true, proven methods, but wait, there's more. I feel like we ought to give a quick word about the extreme personality patterns. Now, you could argue that extreme times call for extreme behaviors. I suggest you not argue that, but actually some of the extremes do seem very well suited for our current situation. So let me pull up our achiever model here again. So this, just for fun, how about this time we'll start from the bottom of the model, and an avoider would say social distancing. Man, this is the moment I've been waiting for my entire life. Yay, this is playing to my strengths here. This is fantastic. Or commanders say, great, now I get to tell everybody to clean up and disinfect and get in all the details and make sure all the minutiae is set up right. And if they don't, then the attackers get really excited because they can blast you, get you in trouble for it, or they can push ahead with their own thoughts and their own agenda. Or performers say, well, boy, my team needs to hear from me a lot. Great, so we'll just do meetings all the time, or I'm going to live stream to our whole company. It'll be all about me, or actually now's the time we can push the pace and accelerate all the changes we wanted to make. We're just going to go faster and faster and faster. Drifters will say, oh, you need creativity? I can do creativity. We could do this, we could do that. And they get stuck in brainstorming mode of constantly, let's try this, let's try that, never actually follow through and finish any of those things, unfortunately. Or pleasers will be super nice to everyone in the house. They know, gosh, people, we can get on each other's nerves, and but I'm going to be the peacemaker. I'm going to be super nice to everybody all the time. You may have heard us talk before about pleaser rage, though. So we have to watch out for the pleaser who gives in and gives in and gives in, and then eventually gets fed up, says they've had it up to here, and decide they're going to have to blast somebody, and basically it's what about me. So those extremes can be fool's gold. And yes, if you're in a theater and there's a fire breaks out, then you be a commander, tell everybody, get out, go this way, take charge. But we don't want to use that 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 example as now that's a reason that the extremes are good. So you don't want to make it a habit, don't want to make an excuse to either bet big like a performer. So now here we're going to put all our chips in the middle of the table, or to snap at people like an attacker, or to take over and try to micromanage things like a commander, or to hide like an avoider, or to go around and go along with everybody like a pleaser, or just to drift and not follow through on things. It's always best to come back to those 6 achiever core competencies. So you want to see where you might overdo it a little bit. So if I know I'm really strong in the entrepreneur, the risk is that I might overdo it and lean into the performer some. So now my reminder for myself, if I know that about myself, is now I want to make sure I bring in the opposite side, that I bring in the stabilizer. So as I'm being proactive and positive and initiating and starting things, and I'm also remembering we don't have to get it all done today. Rome wasn't built in a day. That we want to keep in mind the long-term, big picture future for our organization. So to have that steadiness of the stabilizer. Or if I know I'm really strong in the competitor and forceful with how I express things, I want to make sure I don't cross over into the attacker. I need to remember to look back across the model. Now, how would a team builder do it? So can I forcefully state my way or my opinion, but do it in a way that people can hear it and receive it? So deliver the message with some caring and tact like a team builder would. If I know that producer is one of my great strengths, but whoops, sometimes I can be too much into the weeds and too much into the details like a commander. Thanks for highlighting there, John. I need to make sure I want to lean back into the creator and think of, well, what are some new ways, creative ways, different ways that we can still focus on getting things finished and done. If I know I'm strong in the stabilizer and sometimes I go overboard into the avoider, I need to look at ways to lean into that entrepreneur some. And while I'm being calm and balanced, to know that, and we can't just sit around waiting all the time. You need to be willing to take a risk and try something that, remember that you can survive it. Even if things don't go perfectly, you'll survive it. And so look to take action. If team builder is my strongest, and gosh, sometimes I overdo it and go into the pleaser, that's where I need that reminder for myself to look across the model and what would a competitor do. So by all means, it's great to be adaptable and to be willing to go along. You don't have to fight over everything, but you're smart, you're talented. If you're high in the pleaser, probably you get the feedback that people want you to speak up more and stand up more and make those tough decisions. So it's leaning into that competitor more. And then finally, if you know creator is your highest, and you might tend to go overboard into the drifter a little bit, you want to remember, got to lean into that producer. What would a producer do? So it's not getting caught in perpetual brainstorming. We're going to choose one thing. We're going to focus on one thing. I'm going to finish this before I start something else. It can even be as simple as how you manage your workspace or how you manage your office. Where do I start? I've got so many things to do. Well, if I touch it, one of Dr. Bell's rules is that you can use the one touch rule. If I touch it, now I've got to do something with it. I got to finish it before I touch something else. So it's just a simple example of bringing in that producer. So now let's pop up one more poll real quick, and then we'll give you a couple action items we need to wrap up. Just out of curiosity, which of those 6 extremes do you think would be most helpful for you personally to reduce, just to get a little sense of our group here. So you'll check one of those. What's your highest extreme, the one that would help you the most to reduce? So yeah, so they're spread out just like in our lives and our personalities. It looks like commander's the highest, and that's a great one to really focus on. Again, it's going to be different for each of us, but right now there is such a need to do something, take action, take charge, and you want to make sure you provide opportunities for other people to give their ideas, their suggestions, and sort of bring in that creator core competency as well. Also, it's not being silly, but it's being able to have some fun as well, like that creator. So we're about out of our time. Take the next 6 weeks and double down your efforts on building yourself. So to really, really double down, commit yourself to building that lowest core competency, to reducing that highest extreme. So whatever you're doing, you want to intensify your efforts. You want to step up your game for that. And if frankly, if you haven't been doing much, and goodness knows there are lots of things pulling us in all sorts of different directions, that's okay too. You just want to get started, take one step. So it's like if you say, well, I really need to start doing sit-ups and I haven't done any sit-ups. If you did one sit-up a day this week, that'd be better than what you've been doing before. And then next week, we're going to do 2 sit-ups. And next week, we're going to do 3 sit-ups. And next week, we're going to do 4 a day. Pretty soon, they start adding up and it starts making a difference. The world needs leaders right now. The world always needs leaders. And it starts with leading by example. So you might recall that second law of leadership. It's building yourself first. So it's important to make time for yourself, make time for building yourself. Make it a game, have some fun. So write it down every day. Just write down what's the behavior you're going to practice, what's the one you're going to work to let go, and then keep score. How did I do today? And use that as an opportunity to learn. Well, how did it go? What did I do well? What can I learn from? How can I make the next day even better? So it's continuing to look for those opportunities like an entrepreneur. It's having courage like a competitor. It's choosing one thing to commit to and follow through on like a producer. It's keeping that long-term big picture in mind, the stabilizer. It's looking for ways to help other people, to bring others onto the team with you, like a team builder. And it's always having fun and being willing to try new things, to do something different. So just as we wrap up, just a reminder that all achievement and success, all happiness and contribution is from this moment on. That's what Dr. Bell calls achieving forward. So you look back to learn, but then we look ahead and we look around us right now. So what's next? What will you do? How will you lead? You know you are great, and you're getting better. We all are. So the world needs you. The world needs leaders. We're grateful for you. Can't wait to see you again, whether it's on one of these or ideally in person. In the meantime, we hope to see you, whether it's in another one of these sessions. Look for the email if you would. Give us some feedback on the survey. How did today go? How can we make it better? What can we do for you in the meantime? We're also continuing to do virtual keynotes and retreats and coaching sessions and all that. So let us know what we can do for you and how can we support you. But happy building, happy achieving, and we will look forward to seeing everybody next time.